There, how you doing? Joe here from Your Lifestyle Business. Welcome to another episode. Now today I am interviewing the lovely lady called Leanne Cohens from marketingleap.net. Leanne runs a digital marketing agency, and today I am grilling her not just about digital marketing techniques but also how she got her agency off the ground. And there are some strategies that she shares that I just love, especially if you're a solopreneur, a small business, you're thinking about starting a service-based business, but you're not sure you've got the skills or knowledge to do so. What Leanne is going to share with you is going to absolutely inspire you to get your business off the ground today. So check out the episode. She is awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I know it's going to help.
Wouldn't you love to build a business you can run from anywhere in the world, whether that be your kitchen table or a beach in Fiji? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Your Lifestyle Business, the show where I bring you into my life as a traveling entrepreneur and along with some of my awesome guests, give you tips and strategies for building your own freedom business. Welcome to the show. Let's make it happen.
All right, we are live. We are live in the group. Hello, Your Lifestyle Business gang. How are you? This is Joe here, live in the group with the lovely Leanne Cohens, who is sitting in, whereabouts in Australia are you, Leanne?
One of the worst parts. I'm actually on the Gold Coast.
No, what a horrendous place to be stuck right now on the Gold.
I know.
The beautiful, wonderful Gold Coast. Are you allowed to walk along the beach?
We are. We've actually had quite a few of the restrictions lifted. So as long as we're sensible and do the whole social distancing thing, then it's a beautiful way to start the day, I must admit. Yeah,
we're not allowed on the beach here yet. I'm waiting with bated breath for the beaches to reopen here in Phuket, but no, they are still locked down as we speak. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Leanne Cohens from marketingleap.net. Marketingleap.net is a digital marketing agency. Leanne runs her own digital marketing agency from there on the Gold Coast. And I've managed to, Leanne very kindly agreed to come on live to have a chat with you guys all about how she built her marketing agency and also how you can build your brand and business online, because Leanne's a bit of an expert with all the different, digital techniques for building your brand and business online. So we're just going to run for about 30 minutes or so and have a really good old chat and dig into Leanne's brain and get some really good tips and strategies for your business. So let's just start with you, Leanne. When did you start marketingleap.net?
So Marketing Leap started 7 years ago, but I was in marketing before that for corporate, and then before that had my own business overseas. So with the corporate side, I was actually working with a international pet company and doing their branding, sort of aligning the American branding to the Australian. So Australians could get their head around this particular product or range of products. And, loved that.
They think so differently, do they? The Americans and Australians, you need to come up with a whole different marketing strategy for the Australians.
Yeah, as far as Americans are concerned, they're the centre of the world. So trying to get them to realise that Australians do actually think differently, even though we speak the same language. That was really fascinating. It was really good. Then I had the opportunity to start my own business, and originally started just doing the done for you, going into sort of small to medium sized companies and helping them strategize and map out their marketing and plan it. And it just went from there. So
why did you want to do that? What inspired you to want to go and actually help businesses and work them to work out their marketing strategies?
Probably because the business that I'd lived in South Africa for 12 years, and I'd actually built up, my ex-husband and I built up the business to the stage where we actually had 8 retail stores and a distribution centre and 25 staff. And just knowing the amount of planning that went into everything that we did, from marketing the stores to, we were doing 25 home shows a year around South Africa and Namibia and Botswana.
What were you selling?
Australian gas barbecues.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And garden sheds and outdoor furniture. Yeah. So it was actually called Aussie Outdoor. And I just knew the amount of work that went into that. And there were a couple of companies and people that I'd sort of come across through the corporate side that I could see where things were falling down. So I was very lucky. I started with 3 businesses in completely different industries. So I started with a furniture manufacturer, a solar company, and a coder who was working with NetSuite. And from there, like, we just sat down and mapped out exactly what they needed with their marketing. And because they were in 3 completely different industries, they all had to do things very differently. So marketing on different platforms, the way their websites were laid out were completely different. But yeah, it was really exciting when you see things starting to happen and you see the leads coming in and the business starting to grow. The solar company got so big that I effectively worked myself out of a job.
Oh, wow.
They brought in they've actually got a dedicated marketing girl there now. She's been there for about 2 years now. So she's flying. The first 6 months she was on the phone constantly. How does this work? Where do I find that? But yeah, so it's been really exciting just to see how they've all grown.
And when you were planning out the marketing strategies, were you a specialist in anything specifically? You know, was there something in the whole digital marketing realm? Was there something that you were particularly good at?
Branding and overall strategy, just looking at exactly, and I guess the way that I work is I take a helicopter approach. So it's not a case of, all right, everybody needs to be on Facebook. It's a case of, who is your ideal client? What is your message? Who are you wanting to work with? In that case, now you need to focus on this area, this area, and this area. Mm-hmm. And obviously with the solar company, being an old school marketer, before the whole digital thing happened, with the solar company, we were still able to bring in radio and the whole hardcore collateral marketing as well, which was great. You know, putting little door knockers out and dropping flyers and all that sort of thing.
I just want to. I mean, you know, this is, I guess, showing our age here. But I totally remember when I actually left my job and I started my own business in the UK. I printed off leaflets and I put the leaflets through people's doors, and that was how I advertised my services. And prior to that, when I was working in a corporate business, we did radio adverts and big newspaper page spreads. I mean, do you remember those days? You know, newspaper page spreads, radio ads. Radio ads was
yellow pages.
Yellow pages.
Oh yeah.
How expensive was radio though back in the day? You know, drive time radio and stuff like that. Oh my goodness, super expensive. Yeah. And then we all moan about how difficult it is to get attention now. Well, just go back some 20 years and it was a damn sight more difficult than trying to get attention in a newspaper, especially when you were just sending an ad out and you had no targeting. It was just going out to maybe, you know, you might get your target market reading that newspaper or maybe not. Who knew, right? Oh dear, those were the days. I'm afraid.
Way back when.
All right, so you started Marketingly, and you had this branding knowledge and you had the strategy knowledge. So how did you start offering very specific services then? When you began your company, did you kind of start with one thing and gradually build it, or did you kind of go all in? Can you just talk us through how you began to build out your digital marketing agency?
Well, the first thing that I realized with being online is you need a website. And there's a particular group of affiliate marketers that are constantly getting their Facebook account shut down, but their entire business is on Facebook.
Yep.
So there goes their business. So one of the things that I realized is, and I'm very passionate about, if you have a business, you've got to have your own website. It's your IP, you own it. So the first thing I did was I started with Drupal and WordPress. So Drupal is a particular platform, kind of akin to jumping off a cliff, really. So eventually I gave Drupal away and just stuck to WordPress.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of study, became a WordPress specialist, but at the same time,
was Drupal like coding? Was that like heavy coding?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sort of a mix between Joomla and WordPress and a lot of coding in there. It was, and then also I realized that Google it is the biggest search engine in the world. So it made sense to start doing studies around Google. I actually became a certified Google partner. And I actually do have a beautiful glass plaque that classifies me as a Google specialist, which basically means I just set a lot of exams, basically. And that's what it was. It was just constantly upskilling and, getting an understanding of how Google works and getting an understanding of how the whole digital space in its entirety works. And it's just sort of grown from there.
All right, I've got a few questions on that because you've raised really good points there. First of all, the constant upskilling you're talking about. So when you started Marketing Leap, Leanne, did you have a vision of what you wanted your digital marketing agency to be? Did you kind of have an end in mind, or did you just kind of start and think, well, I'm going to grow this and see where it takes me?
To be honest, I was a single mum of 2 boys. So the focus at the time was I've got to pay my rent. And then my son started rep basketball, and it was okay. Well, now I have to make enough money for him to travel around Southeast Queensland, and then the youngest got into NPL soccer. So then, okay, well, here we go again. So in the beginning, it was literally just I need to pay the bills.
Yep.
And I loved the fact of being able to watch other people succeed and watch other people grow and watch their businesses grow and develop. And probably getting a little bit personal, it took a big leap for me to start another business, because the business that we had in South Africa fell apart, and obviously with marriage and everything fell apart at the same time as the global financial crisis.
Yep.
So getting on a plane, knowing that there were 25 staff that, because my thing was if my boys have to go to a public school and a public hospital, I'm coming home. But knowing that there were 25 people that were almost part of my family that suddenly didn't have a job was really, really hard. So in the beginning, Marketing Leap was just, okay, I need to pay the bills, I need to get this done. And then one day I woke up and went, what are you doing? Like, the only way that you are going to scale and grow is if you either start outsourcing or start growing your team. So I actually bit the bullet and took on a web developer. And so I've been doing a lot of training with him in the last 3 years that he's been with me. So now he's also does really specialized SEO and a social media manager. And then it's sort of grown from there. So I now have a video editor, my social media manager, web developer, and a client liaison as well.
Awesome.
So she sort of looks after the sales and project management.
Awesome. So in those early days, you were just sort of taking on clients and then really going through what they wanted and then learning on the job if they said to you, oh, you know what, I really feel I need a presence on Facebook or something, and you didn't really have your head around Facebook. Were you just literally diving in and teaching yourself how to use it in order to be able to help them grow their brand?
Definitely. Yeah. Big believer in that saying, say yes and figure it out on the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, respect, but also respecting the fact that people are paying me for my expertise. But it was one of those, and imposter syndrome is a really, really big thing too as you're doing this. It's not easy, but it's constantly working on your mindset, making sure that you stay positive and that you have that self-belief. And when you start meeting with your client and you say something and they go, oh my God, that's amazing, I didn't know you could do that. That's when you go, you know what, it doesn't matter if I don't know everything. I know more than my client, and I'm able to teach them and help their business grow.
Yeah. And they're not just, I think they're not just paying you for the expertise you have, they're paying you for the expertise you're willing to invest the time in to learn. So like when I go out, if I go in and I hire somebody from Upwork or whatever because I need help with something, okay, great. Wouldn't it be fabulous if we could all immediately hire an absolute expert that's got a 10 years background? But if you do hire that person, they're likely to be uber expensive because they have built up that track record and are, 10 years expensive. Yeah. What I'm paying for mostly, though, is time. I'm paying for the fact that I don't have the time to, let's say it's Instagram. I don't have the time to sit on Instagram all day, every day and figure out hashtags and figure out growth and figure out how to follow different accounts. And I just don't have that time. So I'm willing to go and hire somebody who may not be an absolute Instagram expert, but who's willing to literally dive in, really invest the time, learn the whole platform and go for it. So I think that's really important lesson for anybody who's thinking, well, I don't yet have all the expertise I need. And I think what Leanne is proving here is that when you start out, you know, you learn on the job, right? I mean, it's got to be the best way to learn rather than, you know, I'm constantly talking to my daughter about going to school and sitting in the classroom. The best way to learn is to do, right?
Exactly. And one of the things with any of these elements of the digital space, it's constantly changing.
Yep.
I mean, you just take Facebook. In the last couple of weeks, because of what's happened around the globe, Facebook's looked at Zoom and gone, hang on a second, we've dropped the ball when it's come to meetings. So Mark Zuckerberg has now suddenly launched meeting rooms. Yep. You know, and we've dropped the ball here because all of these people are now using Eventbrite and all these other ticketing sites, but they're setting their events up on Facebook. We need to have them to be able to do payments on Facebook. So it's constantly, this whole digital space is constantly changing. Like Google did a massive algorithm update at the end of last year because 55% of everybody now uses Alexas and Google Homes and voice search. So they've gone and had to change their entire algorithm because technology is changing and the way that we do things and the way we search for things is changing. So that's the other thing, you know, when it comes to working, if you want an online business, you have to be prepared to be constantly learning because technology is changing and platforms change all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and as somebody who started their online career as a Facebook expert, I mean, I immersed myself in Facebook. If you ask me now to give you a whole load of tips on Facebook, forget it. I haven't got a clue. I have not immersed myself in Facebook for a long time. So, you know, I know more about Facebook groups and Facebook Lives because I just did a 10-day Facebook Live challenge. But prior to that, I didn't know how to get a Facebook Live working. And this is somebody who 10 years ago was, you know, was a Facebook expert. But things change so fast. You just, you know, it's so difficult to keep up. So that's great. That's really good advice. Thank you for that, Leanne. I think that's really going to encourage people who are thinking, I really want to start something, but I'm not entirely sure I have all the experience necessary. And now, if you go to Leanne's site, marketingleap.net, you'll see that she offers website services, social media, SEO, lead gen, sales funnels, strategy. And you also do virtual marketing services. So you actually offer those services as well, do you? So you have people who can actually help people with their social media posting and stuff like that. Do you you have that as a service as well?
Definitely. Yeah. Social media management, it's huge. Because again, like you said, with Instagram, you know, it's takes a huge thing. And Pinterest is a classic case in point. Now, Pinterest isn't actually a social media platform. It's a search engine. And I've been reading up and hearing about, and I had a client that we were doing SEO for. This was a building franchise, and they had franchisees up and down the eastern seaboard here in Australia. Now, a building company that we were doing the SEO for, and every month Pinterest was in the top 3 of their search traffic suppliers.
For a building?
Every month. For a building company. So that sort of, you know, after the first 2 or 3 months, it was like, wow, okay. And then I realized that what was actually happening is one of the young girls in the office, and it is the younger generation because they've grown up with it, this is what they do, had actually put up some of the plans and just some of the interior shots of a few different designs on Pinterest. So, you know, the average person that's on Pinterest is a woman between the ages of 35 and 50. And on average, they spend about 2 hours. Every single time they get on Pinterest, they spend 2 hours creating boards, and whether it's vision boards or designing their latest house or they're doing motivational whatever, or even just looking for recipes. I mean, I've got an entire board just around protein balls for boys. But I actually started doing some research, and I actually paid for my social media management to go and do this really immersive Pinterest course, just so that, you know, we could say, right, okay, if you're going to be on Pinterest, this is what we can help you to do, because you have to learn the ins and outs of the algorithm. And okay, you've got to pin on boards, you've got to have tribes, and, you know, it's curating content. It's just, yeah, it's a whole new world.
All right, let's
So
get into some of that then now. So let me go. I want to come back to Pinterest. I've literally made a note here, Pinterest, okay, because I want to come back to that. Let's just go back to what you said about having your own website, because you said before, if you've got a business, you need to. Now, with the social media sites we have now, the fact that people can, create a whole brand on Facebook, or can just be a YouTuber, or can become an influencer on Instagram. How important is it these days, do you think, that people do have a website? Is it still, a crucial part of the business?
one of the things that you've got to realize is that whether you're an incredible YouTuber, if you breach their policies, they will shut you down. Now, I have a friend who actually does video marketing, and his YouTube account has been shut down. Like I said, there's a particular affiliate group, just one of the ladies I happen to help. So now I've got everyone from this affiliate group, our Facebook accounts are shut down. And it's like, well, hang on a second, you're doing all this advertising, and then you're sending people to somebody else's website. And what actually happens when it comes to any kind of advertising, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Google, the first thing that they do is they check where you're sending that person, and they check the landing page. So, I've had clients have their Google AdWords campaign shut down because Google's picked up what was an image, but they picked it up as a malicious link. So they've just shut the campaign down. Facebook does exactly the same thing. So if you do anything to breach their policies, they will shut you down. And if your entire business is on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I know a number of girls, one in particular had her entire business around her dog, and she had her entire account shut down, and there was 20,000 people following her gone
just overnight. I years ago now, we're going back to probably 2013, 14, something. I was building my YouTube, and I had like 500 odd videos on there, and overnight they just closed me down because one of my videos had breached the copyright rules or something. Now, thankfully, with a lot of work and lots of emails and all the rest of it, I did manage to get it reinstated. But God, that was a couple of weeks of absolute fear, because it was just all gone. Everything I'd ever. In fact, I remember afterwards I got my tech guy to download every single video off of YouTube and host it somewhere, so that if it ever happened again, I always had access to those videos, because it was just it was a very scary moment. Yeah. So yeah, I guess.
And that's what people don't realize. You don't own these platforms. You're renting. You are renting that space. So that's probably the best way to look at it. It's no different any other business.
Yeah.
Or your home. You own your home. You can put pictures on the wall. You can do what you like. If you're renting and you do something to upset your landlord, obviously forgoing all the legal stuff, but it's not your house. You can't do it. And it's no different in the digital space.
Yeah.
You need a website because you need a place on the internet that is yours. So straight away, if you're putting videos on YouTube, you can actually embed them into your website. If you, like you just said, download them, keep them on, in Vimeo, because you're paying for the storage space in Vimeo. So, it's actually owning that. You start building a brand on any social media platform, that's great, but you've got to get them at some stage. You've got to get them off. And the same with groups. The amount of groups that you can join without having to answer any questions or give your email address.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because the minute you get someone's email address, they're in your face. You can start building a relationship with them and start talking to them. So, yeah, having a website is crucial because it's yours. You own it. That's your space on the internet.
Okay, so going on to social media then. So you just gave a tip there about Facebook groups. I don't have a join my group and leave me your email address. I'm just going to put that out there right now. So I'm missing right? I'm missing a trick. So when people come and join your group, because I have joined a few now where they've said, hey, give us your email address to get this freebie or something, and I thought, oh yeah, why not? And I've thrown it in there. And of course, then that email address is added to a database. So that's a good tip that I'm certainly missing a trick on when setting up your Facebook.
There's a group that I stumbled across. They're called the Quantum Blueprint. So it's all astrology and that sort of thing. But I actually had to message the owner and go, I am so impressed. because within 12 hours of me signing up and joining their group, I got an email saying, thank you so much for joining our group. You know, you're so important to us. And this beautiful welcome email.
Yeah.
And in the next couple of days, you're going to get this, and this from me.
Oh.
And it was just wonderful.
I want to have a look. What's it called? The Quantum what?
The Quantum Blueprint.
I always like to have a look and see what other people are doing to get some tips. The Quantum Blueprint, I'll check it out. Okay, so before we get on to a quick bit of strategy, which I would like to do before we go, let me just ask about Pinterest, because I am not on Pinterest either. So am I missing a trick? Is Pinterest like
Definitely
a really good site people should be looking at?
Definitely. Yeah. Again, depending on your target market, if part of your demographic is women between the ages of 30 and 55, definitely. It's and more so using it like you do with Google as a search engine. So you've got to make sure that you've got everything set up, that when you do put up a board, what's called a board, it's basically just a picture. Whenever they click on that, they can go straight to your website.
Okay.
So every time I do a blog, we'll do up a beautiful picture, and then there'll be a description and a title, and everything's keyword optimized. But the minute you click on that image, you go straight to the blog.
So you keyword optimize on Pinterest as you would if you were keyword optimizing on Google?
You keyword optimize everywhere, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Right across.
Because they all work on that. And even with your hashtags. I mean, hashtags are they're search terms.
Yeah.
So I always recommend to clients that they have three. You've got your gold, which is your top 20 search terms or search phrases that you want to be found for.
Yeah.
So, yours is, grow your lifestyle business.
Yeah.
That would be a gold keyword. So every time that you put something up, you would have somewhere either in the captions, in the title, about growing your lifestyle business, because it just makes it so much easier. Because all of these platforms work on algorithms.
Yeah.
Okay. So all it does is just say to the algorithm, this is who I am. This is what I want to be found for.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So when you say, you would take those top 20 search terms and you would try and make sure you would do that in like every caption or something. So every description you put, you'd try and get in that, some of them top keyword terms in all the different things you did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has to be relevant to what you're talking about. But yeah, so when you've got that 20, it doesn't mean that you're constantly spamming the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
You can use every one of those search terms as you go through.
Yeah.
But it also keeps you on track as well.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy when you get on social media just to go off on a tangent, and the next minute you're not even talking about what you wanted to talk about in the first place.
No. So we've gone off on a bit of a tangent because there's so many different things to talk about and haven't really structured it. So we're running out of time, but let's just kind of go back and give this a bit of structure. So when you talk to a new business and you're starting to plan out their strategy for building their brand or their profile online, what would you say are some of the key things that you guide them to do, those first those first few steps that they should be taking?
First thing is, who is your ideal client? Who is it that you want to do business with? That is essential. Because knowing exactly who it is that you want to do business with, like if you'd said to me, you know what, Leanne, my ideal client is actually, 18 to 30, then I'd be right. You need to be on Instagram.
Yep.
Or in actual fact, I've got a passion for the teen market. I want to hit the kids from 13 to 21. Then you're on Snapchat.
Yeah.
So knowing exactly who your ideal client is.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been kicked off Snapchat from my boys, but anyway.
Yeah.
No.
My daughter would be the same. I'm not going to go on Snapchat if you're going to go on Snapchat, Mum. That's just not right. That's not cool. Get off the platforms.
Yeah. So knowing exactly who it is that you want to talk to is the first thing, because that sets all the guidelines for everything else that you do moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sets the language that you use, the words that you use, the way that you speak, and where you show up. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, what do you want out of this? Do you want to just grow followers? Do you want to make another 40 sales a month? Do you want to have a 5-figure month? Do you want to hit 6 figures for the entire year? So then mapping out, because that gives, especially for a business, it's great to have a passion to help people, but if you're not making money, you don't have a business. So having some real tangible, quantifiable, right, this is how much money or this is how many sales I want to make. Number one, if you're working with a digital agency, it keeps them accountable because they have to sit with you every month and go, well, this is what we've done. Haven't quite hit it, but, but even you as a business owner, it gives you a plan of where you're headed. So they're the first two things that I do.
Yep.
So where do you want to be? Who do you want to talk to?
Okay. And once you've established that and you know what their target market is, how do you then begin to strategize out their content and publication strategy? So
then what we do is literally, okay, so because of this demographic, you need to be on this platform.
Yep.
And actually, I'll use this coder as an example because he's been a phenomenal client. He goes away, comes back, expands, goes away, comes back, And so he's just come back recently, and they've actually sort of pivoted their business with what they're doing. And everything that we do now is on LinkedIn. So, he doesn't even he has a Facebook page, but it's not really relevant. We've got a YouTube channel, but everything that we're doing is on LinkedIn. So we're looking at the blogs that we're doing. And again, it's going back to once you've mapped that out, is what information does your ideal client need from you? What is it that you can tell them that makes them go, oh my God, I've got to work with that person?
Yeah.
So that's where we come to. So he's got a BDM, business development manager. So we actually get together once a month, and it's a case of, look, that video on the history was great, but you're not giving anybody any incentive to want to work with your company. What you need to be doing is talking about these clients that you've actually helped completely update their warehouse and get rid of old stock because they could manage their stock because of the work that you do for them.
Yeah.
So he went and did a video on that. So then it's constantly talking about how you can make your ideal client's life better.
Yeah. And
so we just map it out from there.
This is this is great on so many levels, because I think what happens is people go out, they begin to build their brand on their business online, and they focus on, how do I grow my followers? How do I grow my likes? How do I get more views? How do I get more engagement? How do I, get more coverage? How do I get more reach? How do I get in front of more people? And that's what people are focusing on. And they're focusing on that quite rightly, because you've got the big players in the industry who are out there, and they seem to be everywhere, and then they're on all the platforms, and then you've got all the influencers now, and it's all around numbers and blah, 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 blah. And I think what happens then is that people are so caught up in that. Are you all right?
I just went down the wrong way.
I think the problem is that sometimes people, especially people building online businesses, get so caught up in that they actually end up scaring themselves out of taking any action. They get to the point where they say to themselves, I can't do that. I can't be that person. I can't be that person who's everywhere all the time, blah, blah, blah. And actually, if they just stopped thinking about all of that and asked every single day, how do I go out and speak to the people that I really want to help? How can I create content that's going to really add some value or help somebody, create some transformational change in whatever it is they're doing, their business, their life, their weight, their health, whatever that your online business is. If you just every single day, rather than worrying about all that stuff, just ask yourself, how can I absolutely go out and speak directly to those clients? Then everything else would follow, wouldn't it? Is that what happens, Leanne?
Definitely.
Quality of content that
one of the things that I actually do with my clients is say, right, the reason that we start with that quantifiable, how much money do you want to make, is because straight away you can say, well, okay, if you want to make another $5,000 a month, how many clients do you need to make that $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that we know how many clients you need to make that $5,000, how many people do you need to speak to?
Mm.
And again, you're right. It's putting yourself out there and saying, people really don't care about you. I mean, nobody cares that I have a digital marketing agency.
No.
All they're interested in is, can you make my business grow?
Yep.
Absolutely. Can you help me make money?
Yep.
And it's exactly the same, regardless of what industry you're in. If you're in the health industry, people don't care. Can you make me feel better?
Yeah.
in the wage industry, can you help me get rid of these pounds?
Yeah.
That's all they care about. Yeah. So keeping that in mind, that it's not about you. And that again was another big thing to get my head around. It's got nothing to, first time I went to do a video was like, you know, I'm sure I deleted it about 20 times until eventually, if anyone has actually heard of Melissa Groom and you're not confident in front of video, she's phenomenal. But she actually turned around to me and she said, you know, you're being incredibly selfish. It was like, I mean, that's just one word that's just so not like a red flag.
Yeah.
And she said, you've got all this information. If you don't get on video and start talking to people, they're not going to be able to learn from you.
Yeah.
And that was just that key moment for me. But even with all of my clients now, it's not about you. You know, you might have one, if you're a guy, you might have one or two mates that'll rib you a little bit until you start making money, until you start growing your following.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way, it's human nature. It's the way that it works.
Yeah.
So realizing that when you go out there, it's not about you having to get your message across. It's what can you say that's going to make someone else's life better.
Oh, it's brilliant. That's absolute gold. So we are coming to the end of this, Leanne. What's some great tips? What's a couple of tips that you could leave our audience with? I mean, I don't know if we can beat what we were just talking about, to be honest with you. That whole, it's not about you, it's about your audience and how can you help them, I think is probably one of the best tips that we can give. But maybe a couple of tactical or practical tips that maybe you could give people that they could go and take action on today to help them start to build their brand and business online.
Okay, probably one of the first ones is getting back to the keywords and those key phrases and actually sitting down and lock yourself into 20 key phrases and think about how when you go to search for something online, you know, if you need to find something out and you go into Google, what do you type in? So you need to write down those 20 phrases that you want people to find you for.
I love that. Do you know why I love that? Because for years now, I've constantly thought about SEO and how do I, get more hits to my blog and how do I, and I've never thought to myself, well, actually, Joe, how do you use this on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all the other places you are so that people can find your information there, So that's awesome. So 20 key phrases, ladies and gentlemen, that's your action step for today. Go out and figure out your 20 key phrases that can help people find you on all of the different social media networks. Leanne, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to immediately go away and add a email thing for my Facebook groups. When people come in, I can start collecting emails. And I am going to be working on those 20 key phrases. So that's 2 action steps I'm definitely going to be taking today. So I'd just like to thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been great.
All right,
wonderful.
That's it. That's us over and out. And put the link to Leanne's website and everything below this video. Thanks for joining us. Any questions and comments, as always, then ask in the comments below. Leanne, I think, is now part of the group. So we're happy to dive on and answer questions as and when you have them. Other than that, have an amazing day and I'll see you again next time.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. To join in the conversation, please head over to yourlifestylebusiness.com where you can find links to podcasts, show notes and sign up to download my free ebook, How to Build a Business You Can Run from Anywhere in the World. Also, make sure you come and join our Facebook community. Just search for Your Lifestyle Business on Facebook and you'll soon be sharing ideas with like-minded entrepreneurs all on the same journey. Lastly, if you have a moment, please subscribe and quickly rate this podcast on iTunes. It takes 1/10 of a second to hit the little stars and your rating will ensure it gets out to more people and impacts as many as possible with the message, make it happen. Thank you so much. See you next time.